Hey there! Are you struggling to make friends and to deal with the loss of community after leaving the church? Well, if that's you, this video is for you. My name is Wendi Jensen and I'm a religious transition coach. It is my passion to be able to help you carve out a new spiritual path that feels more authentic to you after leaving the church. And the topic that I have today is making friends. It can be a big deal. We have a tremendous sense of loss. There's a lot of grief that goes on about losing our community, and that grief can be extended for a very long time if we don't gain the skills to be able to move forward. So if anything on this video is helpful for you, I want to stay connected to you. I want to be a source of support for you. So the first thing you can do is just subscribe to my channel. And if you hit the bell, then you'll be able to get my next videos that are coming out. Also, you look down below, you'll see that I have all kinds of resources. I have a Facebook support group that focuses on empowering the mind after leaving the religion. I have an online book, I have online courses, I have private coaching, anything that I could do to help support you on this part of the journey. Please let me be of that support to you. So let's talk about this. Making friends and dealing with the sense of loss of community after leaving the religion. It's a big thing, and it could cause us to go into a deep depression. And so our life is begging for us to gain new skills in this area. It is my mantra in all of my coaching that it is not enough to wake up. We have to grow up. We have to learn new skills. We have to clean up and be able to reorder our mind in a way that will program us for success. And all of this so we can show up and become the greatest version of ourselves. And so let's talk about our mind. Under the influence of the church, our mind is ordered to look for the differences. And because it's an exclusive entity, an exclusive type institution, we are constantly looking for the differences of others and what doesn't belong. So our mind is ordered that way. Now we're moving into a more inclusive stage of our life. Our consciousness is expanding, and so we're becoming more inclusive. But sometimes our brain is still looking for differences. So once we understand this and we can shed some light and awareness on it, then we can intentionally watch our mind look for the differences and reorder it to start looking for the commonalities. So number one, look for commonalities in other people. Observe your mind. Be very critical, judgmental, and exclusive, and stop it with great compassion and love. Don't get mad at yourself because you were conditioned this way. With great love and compassion, stop yourself and say, no, I'm now looking for the commonalities in people. The other thing is to realize that you have, while you're under the influence, that you have likely developed what's called the persecution complex. When you're in the church, we believe that anybody outside of the church is really, anything that they disagree with and they don't believe in, or they think that our practices are silly, we believe and observe it as persecution. And what's worse is once we leave the church and now we're over here, now we feel like the members of the church are the persecutors. And we have plenty of evidence for this by the letters that they send telling us that we're destroying our families' chances for eternal salvation in the next life, and we don't have the Holy Ghost, and we have that could go on and on and on about the evidence that we have that we're being persecuted by people inside of the church. But if we step back a little bit and we become the observer of our mind, let's be real about what's going on. People are not spending all kinds of time thinking about and worrying about your salvation. When you're in the room, maybe they are. But for the rest of the day, they got other things to worry about. No one really cares. And so there's not this continual flow of persecution coming at you because now you're transitioning, you're moving, you're expanding your beliefs, you're expanding your consciousness. This really is about you. It's not about trying to get everybody else to think something different about you. And so dissolving that persecution complex is just realizing that we all have differences and people aren't going to believe the same, and it's okay, and we're all still on some growth continuum somewhere, and we don't have to control that. And so step away from that persecution complex. The next thing I wanted to talk about is that when you're in a religion like the LDS church, you don't have to make much effort to make friends. And when you leave, you realize that you're pretty underdeveloped. Now, while you're in the church, at least for me, I didn't realize that I was underdeveloped. In fact, I felt like I had something over the rest of the world. I had the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? I was an advanced creature. Well, when you leave the church, you start to recognize, I have codependency issues, I have trouble making friends, I don't have any boundaries, my life has been enmeshed, and you start to realize that you're really underdeveloped. And so it takes great compassion to reel yourself back in and say, Wendi, we have some skills that we need to learn here. And one of those skills is how to win friends and influence people. So you can go out and get Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's really not a bad idea. There are other books out there. Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers. There's a lot of books out there on how to make friends and how to connect with people. But your life is calling you to upgrade a skill. Thinking that you should already have this skill when it's never been demanded of you is not fair. And so, yeah, you're 50 years old or you're 35 years old and you're just now learning how to make friends. It's okay. And so some of those things is first looking for the commonalities as well, and looking for places online. It's never been easier to make friends. The social media has provided us that opportunity to find people with those commonalities. There's meetup groups. They're all over and everywhere. If you have it programmed in your mind that making friends is hard for me, that is going to be your experience. Life will provide you evidence of your beliefs. And so if your beliefs is it's so hard to make friends, that's going to be your experience. It really isn't hard to make friends. Making friends is one of the easiest things in the world. Do you know why? Because everybody wants a friend. Everybody needs a friend. We all have this innate desire to be accepted, to be included, to feel like we belong. And so everyone's out there looking for a friend. What you're looking for is looking for you. Now, when you meet somebody in the church, you know immediately 85% of what that person believes. You don't even have to have the conversation. You know what they feel about modesty, what they feel about premarital sex, about abortion, about the prophet, about 1 in 100 things that are valuable and important to you. You already know what they believe. And so 85% of what it takes to make a friend, a real friend, an authentic, true friend, is already like self-done. But what we find out is that person is really not truly our friend. And you know how I know they're not your friends? Because where are they? You went through a faith transition, a faith crisis, and they are nowhere around because they really weren't your friend. They were an associate, a comrade, someone with like mind, same beliefs. It's almost like if you were, and I got this analogy from Rodney Allgood, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan and suddenly you change to want to be a different team fan, that person is like, we don't have anything in common. And so you're at this point where you're used to having fast food, so to speak, ready-made friendships. And now you're going to have to be more intentional and start making your food from scratch, from home, and going through all the process of identifying what needs to be on their shopping list, going to the store, cutting up vegetables, marinating the beef, or doing what all the necessary prep work. But that friendship is going to last longer. It's going to be more authentic, and it's going to offer you more nutrition, so to speak. And those friends are far and few between. If you really think about it in your life, the people who stick with you, who really love you for who you are and not what you believe, there's very few of them. And that's the same for everybody. We can be friendly, and it might appear that we have a lot of friends while we're in the church, because they're all there and we all think alike and we're all doing the same things. But again, when that backdrop collapses, you realize, there's only a couple people that I really get along with, when you're not forced to have those relationships. And those, we realize that those friendships were really superficial. And is it really a big loss? Is it such the loss that we think it is to lose superficial friends? It really isn't that much of a loss. And so, again, that's our thinking, is that what have I really lost? I really want true friends. I want authentic friends. And the next order of business is to understand who you are. What do you know about yourself? This whole transitioning out is about you learning to know who you are and understanding who you are without the filters of indoctrination, telling you who you are and what you need to love and like and who you need to be with. And so that whole part of self-development is like your life is calling for you to move into that pathway. And one of those things is understanding your values. When you understand what it is you value, you realize that the people in the church, you don't have the same values anymore. Your values are shifting and changing. When you're clear about your values and you establish a hierarchy of values and how those values fit within your life, when you meet somebody and you start to ask them questions, you're going to see if their values are kind of within the same category. But you're not going to find that out until you ask questions, until you have the courage to approach people and connect with people and risk them really not being the fit for you. And so understanding yourself is an important piece. Also, liking yourself. Do you like who you are? Because if you're expecting people to like you and you don't even like you, that's not going to work for you. So a lot of transitioning out and doing the growing up part is doing your own healing and accepting yourself and dissolving the self-contempt that we learned while we were under the influence of the doctrine. And so learning to love yourself is a key part so that other people you can create space for other people to love you as well. Some other things that I had here is to be a friend. There are people, I kind of talked about this already, there are people out there who are looking for friends. They're looking for support. They're looking for help. Are you a good friend? Because if you don't have the capacity to be a good friend to somebody else, then it's not fair for you to expect somebody to be a friend with you. Look for opportunities to serve. You were taught service in the church, but a lot of that service was kind of forced. And we would serve to prove that we were a good LDS member. Now life is asking you to serve out of a more authentic place in your heart, to serve out of compassion, to serve out of interest of that person's welfare, and to be more true about your intentions of why you're serving. But there are plenty of opportunities to go out there and serve. Get involved in the community. You know, when you just went to church, you showed up to church every Sunday because that was your routine and it was very effortless. You had, a million opportunities to serve just laid there right in front of you, and you just decide, which one you were going to participate in. Now you're going to have to make the effort to go out there and say, what does my community need? What interests me? What gifts do I have that can contribute to my community? When you ask those questions and you look online for 10 minutes, I promise you're going to find all kinds of opportunities for you to connect with community in a way that feels more authentic to you. Again, not because of what you believe, but because of who you are and what it is you authentically value. Let's see. If you live in Utah, it might seem it's a little bit more difficult because everybody's Mormon, right? But I want to impress something upon your mind. In a location where it's highly densely LDS, that place has more ex-LDS people than any other place as well. Those people are out there. And because their wards are so very dense, within a couple mile radius, there are people that have experienced this whole exodus out of the church. They get you. They need friends. They're just like you. What you're looking for is looking for you. You have to get out there and trust that people are going to show up, but you have to make yourself available. They don't know that you're in your house wishing that you could have a friend. Go take them some bread, or do a service for them, or just get to know your neighbors. I promise you, there within 5 houses in your neighborhood, there's somebody with some like interests that you could spark a relationship with. And so it doesn't have to be that difficult. Mormon Spectrum, and I'll leave that link below too. MormonSpectrum.com is a great resource to look for post-LDS and ex-LDS communities in your area, to connect with them. Also, meetup groups. meetup groups of people who have like interests, whether they're rock hounding or hiking or yoga or meditation or atheism or whatever it is that you're interested in. There's a meetup group for that. And so, yeah, it is awkward going there the first couple of times, but you're going to meet people that are like you, and it's going through that risk, being willing to risk those awkward moments so that you can actually make true friendships. But that's that 85% of what you knew about the other person that's doing that work now to really find out what a person believes and what they stand for and where their values are. And it takes work. So, have you had trouble in making friends and building community? Have you had success in making friends? What are some of the things that you've done to help you reestablish friendships and to build community? I would love to hear your tips and tricks, and leave them down below. And also, I think that's all I had today. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. And again, if I can be of any support to you, let me know. Take care.